So, we have an article here at Reason Magazine. Can web designer be forced to make gay wedding pages? The Supreme Court will decide. And first of all, I gotta hand it to them. Bravo. They actually found a web designer that's conservative enough or Christian enough or whatever that would have an issue with creating a gay website. As working in the creative industry for over 15 years, I know that web designers, graphic designers, motion graphics people that do work for TV and web, they're so liberal, and they would love to. They probably give you a discount. They they are so pro gay. It's not even they would think is great. So to find the one conservative, I mean, how many, like, the thing is, it's not quite about this website, I don't think. It's more, or a lot of these, when these things go to the Supreme Court, it's more or less activists that want to find a case in order for it to be litigated and to set law and precedent. It's not that, oh, they actually truly really care about the wedding website, because obviously a simple Google search would lead you to thousands of people that make websites, and they really found a needle in a haystack here. You really have to be trying to somebody that's that conservative or religious or whatever. I'm reading a history book right now, and before, this type of stuff used to be shameful. That some kind of staged, I forgot what the exact lingo, but some kind of staged thing in order to stage a conflict, in order for it to go, get litigated and go to the Supreme Court and change the law or whatever, that was extremely frowned upon. But times have changed, and it's commonplace. Now, I'm pretty sure, like, personally, would I make a gay website? Absolutely, I don't care. But it's actually probably a kind of a harder question, because a lot of people would say, well, what about a gas station? Right? Will we want gas station turning away customers for whatever reason? Well, because they're gay or their race or whatever, most people say, well, probably not. Well, how is this any different? Well, then you could say, well, because of this is more of a custom thing. A gas station is just more of a public thing, whereas this type of just custom website design, I guess it has to do with the First Amendment, with speech. That if the artist, the web designer, actually crafts something for you, that means it's their speech. I mean, I know ad agencies that would never do stuff for the military or for smoking. That's their ethos. So, but because I guess gay is now a protected class, they want to assert their rights here. So the article goes, Supreme Court will finally be tackling the question of whether public accommodation law can compel business owners to produce messages that violate their personal beliefs as part of the anti-discrimination protections. And usually this type of stuff is so rare, because if somebody doesn't want to do some custom work for you, they just find an excuse. And it's really almost impossible to say, oh, I'm busy, or no, I have too many clients, or this, that. It's really hard to actually find examples. You must be talking about, like, let's say you have a large landlord with thousands of units, and then you notice that all the units are rented to white people or whatever, then you'd have a case of, like, well, by statistically, if you were being fair to people, you'd have X amount of this and that X amount of that. But yeah, this website, the custom wedding websites, I mean, how many clients could they possibly have? Today, the Supreme Court agreed to hear 303 Creative LLC versus Ellen's. Lori Smith owns and runs the 303 Creative graphic web site design firm based in Colorado. Which is actually, this is still a business. I remember back in like 20 years ago, like creating websites was a business. But well, I mean, I'm sure like for big companies it's still because they have complicated websites, but stuff like this isn't that. I thought you can still have a business doing this stuff. I thought like Squarespace completely decimated this niche. Smith planned to design and host sites for weddings, but she has a religious objections to same-sex marriage and does not want to be forced to design and host sites for such weddings. She puts her at odds with Colorado's Anti-Discrimination Act, which prohibits discrimination against LGBT customers. Smith counters that she isn't refusing to serve LGBT customers, but she cannot create websites that promote messages contrary to her faith, such as messages that condone violence or promote sexual immorality, abortion, same-sex marriage. According to her petition to the Supreme Court, the United States Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit has taken the side of the Colorado Civil Rights Division and ruled that the law was being neutrally applied and not unconstitutionally vague or overbroad. Colorado could legally require, what the hell, legally require Smith to design and host sites for gay weddings. It could furthermore prohibit her from putting a message on her website saying that she would not due to her religious beliefs. But this is, I mean, doesn't really matter who you side with here. It's a kind of a very vague gray area because, like, let's say you're a photographer, but you're not a wedding photographer. Let's say you're a fashion photographer and you like to take models of really attractive women. Well, can other women sue you and saying, hey, you're like obese women sue you, or very unattractive women sue you, or saying, hey, how come you don't, it's like you don't want to work with us or work for me or take my photos? Well, like this guy has like a brand. He has like a fashion brand, right? Or, he does, you're not his style, or you're be violating his brand. So if you're in Colorado, could Colorado force him to take photos of clients he doesn't want to take photos of? This case, Florida Supreme Court 7-2 ruling, Masterpiece Cake Shop versus Colorado Civil Rights Commission. Even from the state, Masterpiece Cake Shop case revolved around whether a baker could be forced to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. The court ruled in the baker's favor, but actually punted on the central free speech question. The court ruled that the commission had not neutrally applied the law, and commissioners had made statements indicating that they had bias against Masterpiece Cake Shop owner Jack Phillips' Christian beliefs. Well, yeah, just decide the shit once and for all. Seems pretty clear. If you don't have to make a gay cake, why do you have to make a gay website? Similarly, in a more recent case, Fulton, Philadelphia, about whether a Catholic adoption agency could discriminate against gay couples, the court dodged it again. It ruled in favor of the adoption agency not for religious freedom reasons, but because the law gave city officials their discretion to grant exemptions, and therefore was not a neutrally applied law. All right. Indeed, several businesses have raised further legal challenges. Now the Supreme Court has taken up 303 Creative LLC versus Ellen's. We may have finally get the precedent of people are seeking. See the precedent. And I think the Supreme Court should just strike this shit down just for people orchestrating a precedent instead of a real natural grievance arriving. Smith is being represented by Alliance Defending Freedom, which represented Phillips and Masterpiece Cake Shop. Cato Institute, joined by UCLA law professor Eugene Volokh and Southern Methodist University Deltman School of Law professor Dale Carpenter, have submitted amicus briefs supporting Smith, urging the court to find that Colorado's anti-discrimination law violates their First Amendment rights I'm not going to read this brief here, but in the orders today, as the Supreme Court will hear the case, the court narrowed down the questions in the case to a single issue: whether applying public accommodation law to compel artists to speak or to stay silent violates the free speech clause of the First Amendment. Do not expect some sort of broad ruling that could radically rethink anti-discrimination laws. Just 2 weeks ago, Justice Gorsuch and Justice John Roberts joined the court's more liberal justices in deciding that the Civil Rights Act of 1964's anti-discrimination protects included gay and trans people, this specifically, and narrowly about the limits of mandating commercial speech that compromises the values of the business owners. So I'm reading this interesting history book, and basically it says there's a clash of paths. One, the Constitution that the America was founded on was very much about individual association, and after the Civil Rights Act, all the amendments, that was about stomping out any kind of inequality or any kind of different treatment. And now the whole book is about the two clashes of these constitutions, and which one is going to wing out in American history.